Alright, now we're going to get into multiplying radical expressions. When you multiply radical expressions, once again, it's similar to monomial expressions. So if we have, in monomials, if you were to take a 2x times a 3x, well, you can take 2 times the 3 and x times the x, and you get a 6x squared. When you multiply radical expressions, you take 2 times the 3. Now when you take radical x times radical x, you get a radical x squared, but a square root and a squared will cancel each other out and just give you an x. So you may have to simplify a little bit. Let's look at these couple examples. And we have a 2 radical 3 times a 4 radical 6. So we're going to multiply your 2 times your 4, which that's going to give you an 8 on the outside. And then we're going to multiply your 3 times your 6 underneath. So that gives you a radical 18. Now you should always double check to make sure if whatever's underneath your radical can be reduced. So we do a factor tree for that. So we're going to say 2 times a 9, which is going to give us, the 9 can slip to 2 times a 3. So you do actually have a pair of 3's that will come out with your 8. And that 2 is going to be by itself. So we're going to have an 8 times our 3 that we brought out right here. And then underneath your radical you have a 2. So 8 times a 3 gives you a 24 radical 2. So that's your solution for example A. Now we can also use the distributive property on B to multiply multiple times. So we're going to take we're going to multiply the 4 radical 2 times your 3 radical 2 and 4 radical 2 times your 2 radical 6. You just have to keep in mind when you multiply 4 times a 3, you multiply the outside terms together. So you get a 12. Then you multiply what's underneath. 2 times a 2, so we have a square root of 4, which, hey, that looks familiar. Then we're going to take 4 times the 2 over here. So that's going to give us plus an 8. And then you multiply the 2 times the 6, which will give you a radical 12. So we should look at simplifying our radicals. Well, square root of 4 is just a 2. So we're going to end up with a 12 times a 2. Over here we're going to have an 8 times. Well, we need to simplify your 12. So if we take a factor tree of 12, that's 2 times 6, 2 times 3, your terms in common is a 2, so you're going to have a 2 out here that you're going to multiply by your 8, and then your 3 is all by his lonesome, so he stays underneath the radical. So you get a 24 plus 16 radical 3, and that's going to be your solution. Do not try multiplying or adding your 24 and your 16. This is not equal to, let me write this in red so you make sure, this is not equal to 40 radical 3. Some people like to say try to add those together, but you can't because the 24 does not have a radical. So that is how you can multiply some radical expressions.